I was a binge drinker. I mean, partied my ass off in high school, went to college, became the social chairman of my fraternity.
Right. And where was that?
University of Iowa.
Got it. Okay.
Wildest party fraternity on campus.
Right.
Tailgating, like bars and it, I mean, my favorite movie growing up was Animal House.
Sure.
So I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to like be a party animal.
Yeah.
And then moved to Chicago, lived in Wrigleyville, right next to Wrigley Field.
Okay.
It was just like college part 2, like just partying. And the thing is, I had a fucking blast. Like I had a blast in high school. I had a blast in college. I had a blast living in Chicago. But in my heart, all the while, while I was living this life, I knew like deep in my heart, like this is not good for me.
Right.
This is not sustainable. Getting blackout drunk every weekend is not. I'm not the best version of myself.
Right. Right. Like, did you see any sort of physical? I mean, was your body kind of telling you that this wasn't working anymore?
Yes. Just feeling so bloated. I have these vivid memories of like sitting on the toilet the next day after, having crushed 12 Miller Lights the night before and shots of Jameson. And I remember sitting on like the toilet, like not being able to like form clear sentences in my head and saying like, you've got to stop this, dude. You've got to stop this. And then the weekend would come and I'd do it all over.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why on the toilet? I mean,
I just
you started someplace else and I'm just like, all right, well, hope this doesn't go. This is when the darkness creeps in right now. But actually didn't. You were just talking to yourself on the toilet. Okay.
Yeah, I was just talking to myself on the toilet, but I have vivid memories of being like sitting there, like the morning, that feeling of feeling so hungover and like, what am I fucking doing? Why am I like, but you're so stuck in this cycle of like.
I mean, did you find like there's a kind of joylessness in the hangovers where it's just like, oh, I can't feel I've lost something.
Yes, feeling numb, feeling
right.
Yeah.
All right.
But feeling stuck, like, how do I pull myself out of this?
Yeah. Now, if we go back to the whole entire out of 10 scenario, like when was there a moment where you were at like a 2 or a 3 and you're just like, oh, I can't live this way anymore?
Yeah, I had actually like what I would call like my rock bottom was I had moved out to Los Angeles, but I went back to Chicago for a Fish concert.
Okay.
And I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I, at this Fish concert, took a lot of psychedelic drugs.
Sure.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
And Molly.
Yeah.
And
super combo.
Yeah, super combo. and was drinking, but here's what's interesting. I really credit that night for, if you've ever done mushrooms I was able to like step off the treadmill of my life and see this big picture. And I had this like epiphany. I had this moment where I was like, oh, I can't keep living like this or I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And it was really this like kind of come to Jesus, like, dude, you have to you have to make a change here.
Gotcha. But it wasn't actually Jesus telling you that.
No, it was not.
You didn't become an evangelical. I mean, this is not like.
No, I think it was the psilocybin. It was truly like, I was able to be like, if I stay on this path, I'm going to sabotage my life, my career.
Sounds like a horrible trip, by the way. I mean, just to say, like, it's not how it's supposed to work.
Well, you know what is interesting about mushrooms, people say that the medicine shows you what you need to see.
Yeah.
And so like a bad trip is I think it's a lot of times a lesson. Yes. It's like showing you, here's the changes you need to make or here. And it was that night that I, like woke up the next morning and I was like, I can't stay on this path.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the kind of,
I think because I was a big psychedelics person and I was like 41 and I was at that point where whatever drug combination that I was doing every day to kind of I used to say like, there's some people like uppers, downers, and they're that type of person. I was a guy that like sideways, right? Where it's just like, which was like the Adderall, Xanax, drinking.
And how old are you now, by the way?
51? 51. Yeah.
So how old were you when you got sober?
41.
Wow. So happy 10 years.
It'll be 10 years in July.
Yeah.
But like when I was depleted, I started doing acid a lot, thinking that would kind of get back all the things that I was doing. And one of the last nights I took acid, it was raining, and it was raining diamonds, right? And it wasn't a great diamond sun shower. It was like one of those things where just like, oh, I've broken something. Like, and the next day I was like, all right, that was pretty cool. And then it rained again. It was still raining diamonds. And I'm like, okay, no more acid. Take that off the list. Right. So I got rid of the psychedelics, but what I couldn't do after that was just like, I began to panic after that, because I'm like, nothing is available to me anymore that's going to make me feel like the way I want to feel.
Right.
And, but and I went to rehab like that summer. So this is like August of 2015. And I went for Xanax. I went for 9 days. And I was like, okay, well, I'm fixed. I did 9 days. And then,
it's like when people like go to therapy once and they're like, it didn't work for me.
I mean, well, I was convinced that I was just like, all right, I got a handle on it. I've got this. And I remember the treatment counselor there was just like, okay, well, where do you want to go next? I'm like, what do you mean where do I want to go next? And he's just like, well, we have like 30, 60. I'm like, whoa. 9 days, man.
I did my 9.
But it felt so long.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I felt, and that didn't like sink in that 9 days is not that long, and normal people can go a couple weeks without getting
But when you're
up.
uncomfortable in your own skin, it's like, that's an eternity.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And I went, back home to Brooklyn and Williamsburg, and kind of went back to my old life where I was just like, okay, I'm just going to smoke pot now. Right. And weed was never really my thing. So I thought that was like the grown up way where I could function. And, 2 days in, I'm back at the bar.
Right back.
And then I remember I had to go to some place on Monday, like travel to San Francisco to do, because I had my own media company at the time. And I had to go to this like big, it was basically, I had to go and make a presentation in front of both investors and other people about how the media company was doing. And that was on a Tuesday. And on Friday, I was at the bar, and I basically woke up on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I had to have someone else go, right? And that was when it was like, oh man, I didn't want this to happen, but it happened anyway, right?
Yeah.
And eventually, took 3 more weeks and got to Florida and did my 50 days there. And even after that, it still didn't sink in. I wasn't ready, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted my version of sobriety to kind of happen, and that basically meant not being sober. So I mean,
I want to be the kind of sober where you don't have to be sober.
Well, I didn't want it to be my whole personality.
Yeah, right.
Right. I mean, I thought because when I got back from rehab, it was like early December, and Christmas parties were happening, and I realized that there were a lot of people saying, "Well, you wouldn't want to come anyway," and they were basically saying, "Well, we don't want you there because you make us feel bad." Drinking 7-Up or whatever. Yeah.
Holding up a mirror.
Yeah. Well, kind of. And, but that's when it started to say, well, how do I have any sort of social life? I got to change my friends. And I felt bad as well. I couldn't fully be who I was supposed to be without some part of my old life existing.
Yeah.
Right. I figured I couldn't go all the way into this because who would that person be? Right. I mean, maybe boring, friendless, just drinking milkshakes all day. I mean, whatever.
It's scary though. It is scary. It's like, holy shit, I have to like kind of start my life all over. And like,
well, I mean, especially if you're like, how successful were you at the time when you were when you got sober? I mean, where were we in your
career wise?
Yeah.
Not very. I mean,
Right.
I was, I had done Second City in Chicago, which in my mind was a big deal, but
Sure.
a lot of people don't even know what the hell Second City is. So like, I moved to LA and was like starting fresh.
Right.
So it was like clean slate. Like, I had agent and manager.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't have anything going on.
Okay, so you weren't on Love or any of that stuff? Yeah. Okay.
No. And what was interesting was like when I first moved here, I was still partying like I was in Chicago.
What part of LA?
And Los Feliz.
Okay.
Yeah. But I remember that was part of my kind of epiphany too, was like, you're like, dude, you're moving to this new city where it's not a place to fuck around.
Yeah.
Like it's a place to like, I'm moving to this new city for my career. And like, if I'm not going to like take it seriously and I'm still just going to be like partying like I was,
right.
like nothing good is going to happen. And that was part of the kind of cathartic epiphany that I had was like, I need to like take my fucking life seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just like hanging out at the Rustic Inn for like 15 hours.
Truly, like that's the like neighborhood bar.
Yeah. I love that place. That was
It's a great spot.
It is. You can go there at 12, get like lots of beers and wings and fireball shots and just like, I used to take meetings there, work meetings. So it felt like an office to me.
But sure, that was like, I remember when I first moved to town, I was like, you got to go to the Rustic. It's, what people said, like it's one of the bars that feels the most like Chicago. It feels like a Chicago dive bar. And so it was like, I like felt at home in places like that. So moving to LA and getting sober at the same time, it was a hard, some hard years, man. Like, yeah.
Especially,
but now it's so funny that now I've, haven't drank in 11 years and now it's like easy. It's like, I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, like people ask me like, is it hard for you still? And I'm like, no, because I have put the time together.
Sure.
But those early years, I remember like having to I remember saying I have to get through every big event once.
Right,
I have to go to a wedding and not drink. I have to go to a baseball game and not drink. I have to go camping and not drink. And like getting over that hump, I remember.
No, I had my first concert.
Yeah.
I saw Temple of the Dog in Madison Square Garden when they did a reunion. And I wasn't maybe a little over a year. And I had not gone to concerts for a little while because I was like, well, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And, I did this thing where I was like kind of pretending I was part of security, right? So I just stood there with my arms folded the whole time, making sure everyone else is okay. Because I figured if I did that, no one would notice that I didn't have anything in my hands or wasn't drinking, right? I was like this, and I'm just like, well, I'm going to give myself an imaginary job so I can make this thing, like I can be more comfortable, right?
Isn't that amazing too, what you just said, how we worry about what other people...
That was it, yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like, well, what are people going to think if I'm... if I don't have a drink in my hand.
I mean, people did, like when I went to my first football game, and I went out here, I'm an Eagles fan. So I went to like Eagles Rams and waiting in line to get in. I mean, just like shit hammered in ways that, I mean, I didn't even know were possible.
Yeah.
But like people asking me why I wasn't drunk. Especially because I was from Philly. They're just like, well, where you been all day? I'm just like, and I remember noticing it then, where I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a different experience for me this time, and I got to treat it differently.
90% of our culture drinks.
Yeah,
it's so woven into our culture.
Yeah, but I mean, it was, it was one of the most important games of Philadelphia Eagles history, because that's the game that Carson Wentz got hurt and Nick Foles changed our destiny. But
let me ask you this, because my life has gotten so much better.
Sure.
Having made that change.
Yeah.
And that's what I really wish I could tell people who are considering quitting or whatever, is that like, I think it's so easy in our American society to feel like it's like providing us this great benefit.
Yeah.
Drinking.
Right.
And like, I think people really struggle with like giving it up. Like they're giving up this great thing. That's like this great crutch for them. And it's poison. You're pouring poison in your body. And my life has gotten so much better.
Yeah.
So much better having stopped.